भूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यं नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्माद्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अपाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्नि विदीपन व्यपगत प्राणात्म संजीवनीं पूर्वाचार्य सुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघात दूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः वन्दे वृन्दावनचरं वल्लवीजनवल्लभं जयन्ती सम्भवं धाम वैजयन्ती विभूषणं वाचं निजाङ्करसिकां प्रसमीक्षमाणः वक्त्रारविन्दविनिवेशितपाञ्चजन्यः वर्णत्रिकोणरुचिरे वरपुण्डरीके बद्धासनो जयति वल्लभचक्रवर्ती आम्नाय गन्धरुधितस्फुरितादरोष्ठम् आत्स्लाविलेक्षण मनुक्षतमन्दहासं गोपालडिम्बवपुषं कुहना जनन्याः प्राणस्य नन्दनमवैमि परं पुमांसम् आविर्भवत्यनिभृताभरणं पुरस्तात् आकुञ्चितैकचरणं निभृतान्यपादं दधनानिमन्तमुखरेण निबद्धतालं नाथस्य नन्दभवने नवनीतनाट्यं हर्तुं कुम्भे विनिहितकरः स्वादु हैयङ्गवीणं दृष्ट्वा दामग्रहणचटुलां मातरं जातरोषां पायादीशतुः प्रचलितपदो नापगच्छन्नतिष्ठन् मिथ्या गोपः सपदि नयने मीलयन् विश्वगोप्ता व्रजयोषितपाङ्गवेदनीयं मधुराभाग्यम् अनन्यभोग्यमीडे वसुदेववधूस्तनन्दयं तत् किमपि ब्रह्मकिशोरभावदृश्यम् अधराहितचारुवंशनाळाः मकुटालम्बिमयूरपिञ्छमालाः हरिनीलशिलाविभङ्गलीलाः प्रतिभासन्तु मम अन्तिमः प्रयाणे प्रतिभासन्तु मम अन्तिमः प्रयाणे जानकीकान्तस्मरणं गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं. With the abundant blessings, benign grace of Paramatma, Shri Pati, we have had the opportunity to experience and to some extent internalize the auspicious attributes of the Lord as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavata Mahapurana. There is a paddhati of making Ramayanam a series of 9 days and Bhagavatam as a series of 7 days. Srimad Ramayana Navaham, Srimad Bhagavata Saptaham. Ramayanam is in the Treta Yugam, a time period called Treta, and Krishna Avataram happens in Dwapara Yugam. You have to be very careful. You should not say Bhagavatam happens in Dwapara Yugam, because Bhagavatam has many things that come at different periods of time. In a typical Bharatiya pattern of serving food, delicacies on a leaf, you generally serve the cooked rice, prasadam, and then you give the tamarind made or the curd made paste. Either it could be a more korambu or a vata korambu or a parapu korambu. That's served first. Then after that comes shatramadu or rasam, saru. And then comes curd rice. In between there is something, the sweet. So the sweet precedes the curd rice. So the sweet is a payasam or an akkara vadisal or whichever state be it. Telugu varu unnarante pootarekulu telusa? Do you know pootarekulu? Yeah, that's the gateway to heaven. So you make something out of starch and then magnanimously put as much clarified butter as much as possible, and then put jaggery and then dry fruits, so roll it over and consume as much as possible until you see the doors of Jaya and Vijaya. So you serve the sweet and then the curd rice. Let's say the sweet is a milk sweet, a kheer, a payasam, and then the curd rice. Ramayanam begins with payasam. Correct? When the Agni Purusha comes, he comes with the payasam. Bhagavatam connects itself with curd rice. When Krishna goes tomorrow's day 5, day 6 at about 7:15, we'll be dealing with Vanabhojanam. Bibhradvenum jatarapataya shungavetye chakakshe vame panau masrulakabalam tatphalam angulishu. Vame panau, left hand he was having curd rice. So Krishna Avataram is curd rice, Rama Avataram is payasam. Payasam precedes curd rice. That is Navaham, this is Saptaham. And there is a saying in the Malayalam language, if you have to hear the truth out, listen to it from a little child or that of a parrot. We often use the word parroting as a verb. We say when someone repeats as is, it is parroting. So parrot is believed to be one of those peculiar birds that can repeat what we say. Interestingly, there is a mantapam in Srirangam called Kili Mantapam. So, if you have to hear the truth out, listen to it from a little child or the parrot. Ramayanam was uttered by the little children called Lava and Kusha. Bhagavatam was uttered by the parrot called Shuka. So, there is so much of connection that is put forth to us by our ancestors with respect to Ramayanam and Bhagavatam. That said, we are now today on day 4, which is exactly the midpoint. Day 1, 2, 3 on one side, day 5, 6, 7 on the other side. We are exactly on day 4. And I am struggling like one of those teachers who has plenty of portions before the quarterly exams. So I have part 2 of Gajendra Moksham. I have Matsyavataram, Kurmavataram, Vamanavataram. There are 2 more. Ajamilopakhyanam and Ambarisha Charitram. So those 2, with the magnanimity that all of you showcase through your eyes and beautiful countenances, I am going to push that to tomorrow. Because Krishna has to be born today as per the Paddhati. So I'll cut and paste that for tomorrow. We have Gajendra Moksham today. We had left the the devout elephant struggle in pain. That was bad. That was a bit sadistic of me. But of course, Bhagavatam says for years together he struggled. So I was that way a bit generous. I just let him suffer for a few hours. So the crocodile came and held the foot of the elephant. See, just think of a person who is not so linked to sanātana dharma, who has probably very little idea of this civilization, this philosophy, and he is just a passerby. He is listening to this line. A crocodile held the elephant's foot. What will he think? What are these people gathered for? Discussing about two animals fight, isn't this something that should be coming in one of the documentaries rather than the religious books? Very valid point. But let's see where it turns religious. So this elephant was suffering. Who was this crocodile? This crocodile has a flashback. Huhustavad devalasya pishapad grahi bhuttajjale vartamanaha jagrahainam hastinam padadeshe shantyartham hi shranti dosi swakanam. So there used to be a Gandharva called Hu. Maybe it was, his name was Juju. Right? You'll have to pronounce such words as Hu, right? So maybe he had connections with Huze or jojoba oil. So, Native American that way. So, Hu was a Gandharva who was playing in the waters, and accidentally he managed to pull one of the legs of a rishi who was performing penance. This rishi got enraged. He said, how dare you do such activities like an animal that lives underwater and pulls people by its mouth. So you shall be the crocodile. Did I tell you that, you need to have a lot of tapas shakti for the blessing or curse to fructify? It fructified in those days. So he happened to be the crocodile. The Gajendra tried fighting. Normal National Geographic Channel event. Slightly it gets religious now. In its withering pain, the Gajendra was able to remember an event of his past life. The past life was that of Indradyumna. So he was able to continue Bhakti Yogam. That is very important for students of Vedanta. Of the 32 Brahma Vidyas given by Vyasacharya, we have 2 Brahma Vidyas. One is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is also called by 2 other names. I will ask you this question tomorrow. So answer I'll give you now. It is also called Upasana or Sadhana. Upasana or Sadhana in the Vedantic perspective means Bhakti Yoga. Mattav parataram na anyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam proktam sutre maniganaiva, says Krishna while describing Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yogam has 2 parts. One Karma Yogam and Jnana Yogam. You know what you're doing. You're doing something. You know what you're doing. Karma is what you're doing. You know what you're doing is Jnana Yoga. And then you do it with simple passion intertwined with Ashtanga Yoga. It becomes Bhakti Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga is good. But the only thing is, it doesn't guarantee moksham at the end of that birth. You may or may not get. Like the Indian weather report. You remember? At least now you tell, today it is going to be 70 in the evening. But I remember the weather report that used to be read. Ingumangumaga. Alladu aangange. Idiyudan kudiyo kudamalo. Ganatta mazhai mudal. Lesana mazhai varai. Peyyalam peyyamalum irukkalam. Enna sonnarne theriyadhu. I could be one of the research scholars in this weather if this was the case. Now here, you may get moksham by the end of that janma, or in the next janma, or in the next few janmas. That is the slight disadvantage of Bhakti Yogam. Sharanagati wins over this by telling you get moksham by the end of this janma. That is called Nyasa Yoga. Gajendra practiced Bhakti Yoga. But he was able to remember, because 1 in 1,000 or 1 in lakh are called? Very good. Jati smaraha. So he was a Jati smara, he was able to remember. Now Gajendra speaks. Like Lion King movie, Gajendra speaks. The shloka comes. Is it imaginable? Not necessary. When we have pets at home, how many of you have pets at home? Yeah. So people who have pets will love their pets. They even treat the pets akin to their own children. The pet won't talk, but they will say, Pachikudda. But we are able to decipher from its body language. So communication need not have to be always oral. That is why in a lecture, typical lecture, whether be this religious lecture, it could be a motivation-based lecture, it could be lectures that probably people who are working as professionals could be giving in your own firms. You need to understand what the body language of your listeners communicate. So in a discourse, just because we have been giving discourse for 10, 12 years, it doesn't mean I can take my audience for granted. I should be able to look into everybody's eye, whether what I am saying is relishable, relatable, comprehensible, porukable. Then I should be able to amend as per that particular audience. The advantage that musicians enjoy is different. Typically in a musical, I do give harikathas, right? So when I collaborate with musicians, they will close their eyes. Or they will look at the mridangam artist. Indira violin. Indira, but I can't do that. There's nobody on either side. I'm not flanked. So I have to keep looking at your faces. So body language becomes very important for somebody to understand. Shuka Brahmam, Valmiki, Vyasa, they were all very adept in understanding, mind reading the person standing opposite them. So when Gajendra managed to remember his previous janma, being a Jatismara, at that point in time, Shuka Brahmam was able to read what was the prayer that Gajendra was trying to offer. He converted what he read in the mind of Gajendra into a beautiful stuti. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yata Etacchidatmakam Purushaya Adibijaya Pareshaya Abhidhimahe Yasmin Idam Yatachedam Yenedam Ya Idam Swayam Yosmat Parasmacha Parastam Prapadye Swayam Bhuvam. I now venerate the one who is Adi Vyaktaya, who is beyond the state of manifest and unmanifest. Alvar says, Unnum tevum ulagumattum yadumillavan nanmugan tannodu devar ulagodu uyir padaittan kundrampol manimada needu tirukkurugur adanul Adipiran nirka Matrai Teivam Nadudire, Onnum Tevum Ulagum Mattum. When nothing was there, he alone was there. So he is beyond the cause. So the elephant got into a very technical word. It said, I now invite the one who has to protect me should be the causeless cause. We all have a karanam. My father and mother are my karanam. My father and my parents have a karanam. Yeah, their parents are their karanam. You keep going through the loop. It has to stop somewhere. So where it stops, that particular entity should not technically have a cause. Then this process won't stop. If it has stopped, then there is no cause for that cause. So that is a causeless cause. So we have many saints who say what that elephant would have said. Adi Mulame. I said, elephant didn't say, it read in its mind, and Shuka Brahmam has mentioned it is Adi Mulame. Moolam is root, cause. Adi is the first, which means there is nothing before that. First cause, causeless cause. I'm sure those of you who are movie buffs Natakam buffs would have seen the heroes getting atop the cliffs and shouting the girl's name. Rekha, 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 Rekha. Whether he jumps or not, or whether Rekha will jump, we won't know. Now, Adi Moolame. So this Adi went on a slow mode. Adi, Moolame, Moolame, Moolame. That alone was heard. Moolam means cause. Indra thought, yes, even I am the cause. And he started. And Shachi Devi packed some material, something. It could have been coconut rice. She packed. Then Moolam Shabdam was heard by Brahma. Brahma said, even I am the cause. Everybody is that way a cause. So he too started. Saraswati packed something. Or Saraswati was busy in a Veena concert. She said, you pack yourself. What do I have to pack? See, you have to be very careful. When we eat Vedanta Deshika, if you read Vedanta Deshika's works, it is very tough to live that way, because he says, whatever food you consume, whatever food you make, it has to be consumed within the first 3 hours. Very tough. Half of you will leave. See, I went to Madison in 2016 and 18. 2018 I went, hot rice. They served concentrated, concocted tamarind paste. I was extremely happy to receive it. I said, Mommy, this is so good. It tastes like what it tasted in 2016. She said, that is of 2016. So they have labeled the boxes 2016. You know, Yenda Tandai, Tandai Tandai, Tammutappan, Yelbadigal, Todangi. So here, Brahma packed something. Shiva, Lord Shiva, Rudramurti, was very strategic. He thought, I should be marrying somebody who's as good as me in dance. So he married a dancer. So she packed something. So while all of them left in their own vahanams, they all left in their own vahanams. Uksha dakshantakasya skhalati valajita kunjara khanjariti Klanto dhatu shakunto nuga iti dayaya sami ruddhas dayopi graha grasta dvipendra kshati bhaya chakita kuntha vaikuntha chinta nasiro daramurtir naraka vihataye syad vihegeshwaro naha. Well, they all left. This call for help, I told you it was split into 2 words. Adi, Moolame. Moolame only echoed. Now Adi echoed. Adi, Adi. Then Brahma said, it's not me. Then Rudramurti said, see, it is first Adi, then I am not the cause. So they all retracted. So they all came back in their own vehicles to their own abodes. See, I should not be saying this, not in a very good tone, but still, I want to be frank and honest. Well, I used to go to school, or probably all of us went to school. We are packed and given some food, we go to school. And in fact, we are informed that the CM is no more, Vice President is no more. As a student, it used to give little happiness because that day will be holiday. That's why I said it's very wrong to say that way. I feel very sorry for having been happy on the death of certain chief ministers, but still, the truth has to be spoken. So then they would send us back home. So with the assumption that we'll get some hot, nice food, because I would be having curd rice in my box. I'll come. But my mother was extremely strict. She said, eat what you've. So they all returned home. This Adi Shabdam was heard in Vaikuntham. How was Vaikuntham? See, you may ask, have you been there, sir? No. Will you be there? That also I'm not sure. Right. But all that we do is read out from the scriptures. Shastrat Vedmi Janardanam. From the Shastram we understand how Vaikuntham is spacious. You will have one garage, everything. Because most of the houses, whenever I visit US, I go only through the garage. And that garage will be Brahma Srishti. You will have everything, whatever is usable, non-usable there. So, how is the Lord's life in Vaikuntham? I grew up under the guardianship of my grandparents. They were extremely lovable. I treat this as the golden period of my life. Did I tell you this? சொல்லிட்டேனா எப்போ இப்போ இந்த வருஷம் சொன்னேன்னா அது சொல்லுங்க. சுவாமி நீர் மட்டும் சமையல் 2 வருஷத்துக்கு சாப்பிட்றீர். Did I tell? Okay. Did I tell about my grandfather who worked in State Bank of India? அது சொல்லுங்க. Okay. So, my grandfather joined while it was Imperial Bank. And then he continued serving the bank as State Bank of India. And after 39 years of serving the bank, he was given the responsibility of brewing coffee. So he was very particular about how the coffee should be, right from the powder stage. So he would go till the person would roast the beans in front of him, and then would grind it and mix chicory in the proportion of 80:20. And then he used to bring it home. Morning 4 religiously he used to wake up, like it was a Tomala Seva. Then have those two, Purvardham, Uttarardham. It is Dvayam, right? So you have to put little coffee powder at the top, at the first compartment. Bhuhu. Here is Bhuvaha. Then you'll have to put little sugar. If you put little sugar to the coffee powder, the decoction will be thick. Try this. You write it down. Okay. Then piping hot water. Because, piping hot, I'm saying, because here you can't give piping hot. People will sue you, right? So there it used to be piping hot. And he used to put that, and then the decoction used to come. He used to put the decoction back. It was called double decoction. And then he used to boil the milk, Nandini in Bangalore. Nandini milk is white water. So it needs a lot of efforts to separate the water from the milk. Did I tell you about Bhartrihari? So Bhartrihari was a great poet in Sanskritam. He gave us Shatakatrayam. Niti Shatakam, Vairagya Shatakam, Shringara Shatakam. He says in one of the verses, what is friendship? He defines friendship. He says, water and milk is a beautiful colloid. It goes well. The viscosities kind of are relatable. So they go very well. How to separate these two friends? So you have to bring the enemy called Agni. So Agni is lit below. So this Agni will separate water from the milk. So as water transforms and transitions into the gaseous state, it goes up. The milk rises telling, please do not go. The milk boils, it rises. Mat jao, pardesi, jana nahi, mujhe chhod ke, mat jao na. So it rises. Then you'll have to calm the boiling milk down. So you take some water and sprinkle on it and say, keep quiet, I brought your friend back, put it down. But he didn't mention one thing in his shloka, that milk has the ability to boil when you don't look at it. Have you seen it? When you keep looking at it, the milk will never boil. You just turn a second, it will boil, it will give you a half an hour's job. So here, my grandfather used to boil the Nandini milk, and then after the process, used to mix the decoction and the milk together. Used to take the tumbler and the davara with it, and used to then take the Hindu paper when it used to be good. So he used to take and then used to roll it over and then sip. To him, this was mokshanubhavam. So everyone enjoys some activity. He enjoyed drinking coffee. What does the Lord enjoy? Sleeping. Parkadalul paiya tuyindra paraman. This Lord who was enjoying sleep while the wail of the elephant was heard. That is when we have beautiful verses. Devi hastambuje bhascharana kisalaye संवहृद्योपहृत्य प्रस्यस्त्यानंत भोगम झटिति चलपुटे चक्षुषि विस्तृताणः. The Lord withdrew his legs at that pace. For a second, Lakshmi's hands were floating in air. Because the Lord withdrew his legs at that lightning speed. He jumped from his serpent couch. And as he jumped, Alakalal Ladagagani, says Tyagaraja, the beautiful, effervescent, glistening, curly hair tresses of the Lord jumped with him. If you see those shampoo advertisements, for them it will jump. I tried. So, as he jumped, he's generally a very well-dressed person. I told you, Alankar of Priyo Vishnu, very well-dressed. Today he didn't even bother to check what he had worn and what he hadn't. He started running. The Ayudha Purushas, Chakra, Shankam, they were all in a fix. What should we do? Because he didn't take any of them. He started running. Okay, here I have to come up with, I don't know what's the time. I will tell you one small intervention here. This place, Puranam states, the Lord jumped from his serpent couch. He didn't take any of the Ayudhams. He didn't inform Garuda. He just started running. Then he would have realized that, oh, I didn't take any of these Ayudhams. And then he has to come back and take them. Okay. In this gap that he forgot to take the Ayudhams and then comes back, Vedanta Deshika uses this as an ample opportunity to come up with a verse in Paduka Sahasram. So imagine, let's go to the times of Ramayana. Rama was asked to be the king. Then the next day he said, no, there's a change in the plan. You have to go to the forest. Rama he said, okay, fine, I'll go to the forest. Thank God Dasharatha didn't birth Krishna. Krishna would have said, my advocate will talk to you. But Rama said, okay, don't worry, father, I will go to the forest. He left, and then with the assumption that Bharata shall rule the kingdom, Kaikeyi was eagerly awaiting his arrival from Kekeya Desham. When Bharata came, Bharata reprimanded his mother. He said, did I even ask for this kingdom? I shall give back this kingdom in a golden platter to Rama, and then he goes to Chitrakutam. Now, Rama says, see, that's not possible. 14 years I've promised my father. You go back, Bharata. Does Bharata go back? So Rama gives away his padukas. But isn't this amusing? You lend some money to a person, you expect the person to give you the money back, you go ask the person, he says, I don't have the money, you at least believe in him, you say, give it after a month. Rather, he says, now you please take my set of footwear outside. When Rama said, take my padukas, Bharata said happily, said, oh, don't worry Rama, I'll take these padukas. What was so great about the padukas, asks Deshika. See, you give somebody's footwear. He took on his head, one. And second thing, while the padukas were going on the head of Bharata, Lakshmana handed it over. See, Adiroharya padabhyam paduke hema bhushite. Lakshmana fetches those pair of padukas from the ashramam. Upon receiving the command of Rama, gives it away to Bharata. Bharata holds it atop his head, and Shatrughna does chamaram on his way. Now Vedanta Deshika asks, how amusing it is. It is Rama's padukas, Lakshmana gives it respectfully, Bharata takes it respectfully, Shatrughna does kainkaryam. What is happening? He says, in that Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam, when the Lord left the Ayudhas for a minute and went, that time, now this is my small intervention within Deshika's imagination. The lady who had to, or the man who had to clean the house had come. So what they did, they put those padukas atop Adisesha. That person put that padukas atop Adisesha, because you have to clean the floor. You have that robo central thing, right? You kick it, it will go and clean. So he or she put that above that Adisesha. Now Shankam and Chakram and Adisesha had a conversation. They said, how dare these padukas, which are meant to be in the shoe rack, are sitting on you, Adisesha. Adisesha said, even I am surprised by this act. I don't like it at all that padukas are sitting at par with us. Shankam and Chakram also made fun of Paduka Devi. Paduka started weeping. How do we know she wept? When the Lord came back to take padukas, he found that they were wet. So he thought Padukas have cried. Then he understood what must have transpired. Shankham, Chakram and Adisesha have rebuked and humiliated Paduka Devi. So in Ramavataram, Adiseshamsha Lakshmana lifts Paduka, Shankha Chakramsha Bharata Shatrughna do Kainkaryam to Padukas to overcome the humiliation meted to her, says Vedanta Deshika. Now let's come back to Gajendra Moksham. Pratyasyananta bhogam jhatiti chalapute chakshushi vistrutanaha. Now, here we have the Lord who then said, oh, I've forgotten the Ayudha Purushas, and takes. Now there is this Garuda. Garuda, poor driver, he has been driving for a long time. He is taking rest. The Lord could have woken him up. He sat on Garuda and said, go. Garuda asked, you have to put that drop point. You tell, go. Poor, where will I go? He said, my child is suffering. Go there. And he started knocking the head of Garuda. Parashara Bhatta tells, he started thrashing Garuda. Go fast. So Garuda had to pay respects to what the Lord said, and he started rushing towards the spot. Now, the Lord stood on Garuda. See, every act of the Lord is mentioned in our Purana. So the Lord stood on Garuda. By the time they were reaching that pond, see, he could have slowly come. See, here I like the habit of people waiting for the other passengers to get down of the flight. This trend has to come to Bharata Desham. In Bharata Desham, when the flight lands, people will be ready for Dharma Yuddham. Will all be ready. Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, Samaveta, Yuyutsavaha. Because they believe that if you go closer to the door, you'll reach your house fast. But your karma will be, your luggage will never come. That is karma. So, I still remember, there used to be this train called Brindavan Express that used to go between Bangalore and Chennai. So, the urge of seeing my grandparents. So, I'll have the luggage ready. And while we have just crossed Bangarpet and we are reaching Whitefield, which is an integral part of Bangalore now, it used to be outskirts. So, I used to go and stand near the door. But in Jatakam, there is a position called Shashtashtakam. The 6th and the 8th position, Sashtashtakam. If this position is filled with grahas, then generally there will be obstacles in whatever you do. The train would be put in the outer for half an hour. So the Lord stood on Garuda. He had to command Sudarshana to go and do its job. He turned right, he couldn't see Sudarshana. Have we left the purse? Where is the chakram? He thought. That is when the chakram had done its job. It had done its job. Why? The Lord didn't even say, how could the chakram go and do it? In Vedanta, this is called Sankalpa Shakti. Sankalpam is called divine will. Divine will of the Lord in Agamam is called by a name called Saudarshanam. The divine will is called Saudarshanam. So the divine will called Saudarshanam is implemented by the Ayudham called Sudarshana. Sudarshana means very handsome to look at. Sudarshana. And he does his job well. What is Sankalpa Shakti? For this, my Gita Bhashya Acharya used to give me an anecdote. Imagine I'm living in the 2nd floor of an apartment. You call it the condominium here. So imagine that the premises doesn't have an elevator. I have to climb the stairs up. There is no backup electricity. The power goes off on a new moon night, Amavasya Ratri. Amavasya Ratri, no power backup, no elevator. And I have to climb up the 2 floors to reach my house. Being accustomed to the number of stairs that I see in the building, I climbed the floors. I know there are 10 steps. So naturally after the 10th step, I know my foot is accustomed to going to the door and opening. But imagine my friend has come, he wouldn't know. So he'll keep the foot even assuming there's 11th floor, then only he'll realize there is no more step after this. Have you had this experience sometime in your life? Yeah. So I go very comfortably to my house. Imagine one day I've called the Lord. I've mentioned, "Oh Lord, please come to my house." And the Lord benevolently accepts my invitation. He says, "Well, I'll come to your house, Dushyanth." He walks with me. I know there are 10 stairs. After the 10th, there is no 11th. The Lord but does not know there are 10 stairs only. He takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he thinks there is a 11th stair also. And if he keeps the foot for the 11th step, the 11th step will come there. That is called Sankalpa Shakti. Sankalpa means the Lord's divine will. If He thinks, it will be. That is why in Upanishad it is said, Bahusyam prajayeyeti. The Lord in the creation process says, let there be many. When we speak of creation, we don't actually say that the Lord will take a few stones, some gravel, and then make those mountains. Then will take little salt, dissolve them into water, put them into Pacific, put them into South China. Nothing of that. He thinks let there be many. So this divine will, creation is a result of the Lord's thought, not action. That is called Sankalpa Shakti. Now the Lord's Sankalpa Shakti is to protect the crocodile. That is why even before his command, the chakram had done its job. But it had to cut it the right position. If it cuts it in the wrong position, even the elephant's leg will go along with it. Correct? It had to do. And then the Lord goes and then takes that elephant's leg out and gives good massage to that elephant's leg and then say, and bring the trunk down. Again, one of the Astikas asked, isn't the elephant's desire to submit the flower to the Lord evident at the first step? You mentioned yesterday, I said that the elephant didn't go with the intent of offering the flower. Style quotient. It took that flower. But isn't this against many of the narrations that we have heard in our discourses, where the elephant was very devout, every day it used to go and offer flowers, then one day it went and took. See, there are 2 points here. One, I have to tell what is there in Bhagavatam. I cannot tell what I heard from my grandmother. My grandmother may be a good lady, but she is not Shukha Brahmam. One. Second thing, logically it will be less tenable. I'll tell you why. The elephant's bhakti and its previous janma vasana comes only in pain. That is when it is able to remember the previous janma. If we say right from the start it was remembering the Lord, then it would have not surrendered to the Lord at the first go at all. It would have done even before the crocodile would have caught, it would have said, oh, Adi Bijaya, Adi Vyaktaya, do it. It wouldn't have fought for years together. That jnanam would have dawned in the first step itself. It was a mundane, normal elephant. But then, sir, the Lord accepted the lotus. I will tell you His greatness now. I'll give you an example for that. I love cooking. Have you sensed that? Have you sensed I also love eating? Yeah. So, while I once mentioned to my mother that I want to cook, she had the shock of her life. Not because I had to cook, because she had to be the recipient of what I cook. So she wanted to survive for a few more years. So with this hope in mind, she said, are you sure? I said, yes. But she knew that my knowledge in cooking was too little. Being a mother, she didn't want to demotivate me. So she went into the kitchen. She kept everything ready. I had to make rasam in a special vessel. You know, there's a special vessel for making rasam. Iyachumbu. But the point about iyachumbu is you should not keep it just like that. You cannot be, I have read Venkatesh, but Urugado yenunadullam, that entire thing will melt. So she kept the mustard required for the last seasoning, the little oil, the ghee, the rasam powder, cut coriander leaves, curry leaves, some the tamarind pulp, cut tomatoes and salt, asafoetida, everything was ready. And the patram and the way I have to make, first you have to put the tamarind water and then keep the vessel there, everything was ready. Shai Murai, recipe was ready. I had to go like Raja Adi Raja, Raja Martanda, Raja Gambhira, Raja Kulottunga. I had to go inside that, just look at the recipe and do it. With so much of assistance around me, at the end of it, I managed to put the boiling vessel on my foot. My mother comes running. Half of the rasam has been consumed by Bhuma Devi. There is little left in that patram. Now she will cajole me, she will convince me, then she'll put some ointment, burn all and everything. And then there'll be very little rasam left. She will take some rice, put that rasam, put it into her mouth. Excellent. For this did you have to suffer so much? Same is the case with Gajendra. The Lord came, he took that lotus from its trunk. Imagine it has fought for years together. What would have been the state of that lotus? Yeah, the petals would have gone away. But then he took that lotus and then held it. It is so beautiful, Gajendra. I didn't know that you wanted to submit this to me. So he converted like my mother's rasam dialogue. So the Gajendra had no intent. But the Lord assumes that this flower was given to him by Gajendra out of bhakti. That is the greatness of parents, or here, universal Mata Devi, Tvamasi Bhagavan, Vasudeva Pitami. The beauty is in Sriman Narayaniyam, when Bhattadri asks, Hey Krishna of Guruvayur, I see one lotus in your hand. Is it the same lotus that was given by Gajendra that day? Anantarama Dikshitar used to state, at that point in time, the Lord replied, yes. He said, it is the same flower, indicating, Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. In whichever state we give to the Lord, He shall accept it. Now, this greatness of Gajendra Moksham is described in one beautiful pasuram of the Alvar. Meen amar poigai, nan malar koivan, வேட்கையினோடு சென்னழிந்து கானமர் வேழம் கையெடுத்து அலற கரா அதன் காலினை கதுவ ஆனையின் துயரம் தீர புல் ஊர்ந்து சென்று நின்று ஆழி தொட்டானை தேன் அமர் சோலை மாடமா மயிலை திருவல்லிக்கேணி கண்டேனே. He sees, I see that in Pachu. Who is Pachu? Parthasarathi. Now, while Gajendra Moksha Vrittantam is beautiful, now Parikshit asks, Sir, I have heard that many of the accessories of Indra, possessions of Indra, went into deep waters. Can you tell me about that? That is when he talks about a rishi called Durvasa. Durvasa suravanitapta divyamalyam shakraya swayam upadaya tatra bhuyaha Nagendra pratimrudite shashapa shakram kakshantistvadita devatam shajanam. Durvasa Maharshi. What does Durvasa mean? The one with whom you can never do vasam is called Durvasa. Manduttar, ingatu Durvasar. He gets angry in artham. He keeps getting angry for, when you get angry for no reason, nobody will respect that anger. That is why Rama was very calm and poised. When he got angry once, Andal says, I fell in love with Rama's anger. Not with Rama, with Rama's anger. Shinattinal tennilangai komanai chetra manattukkiniyar. I love his anger. Eppadi kovapadrar na alaga padrar parunga. Unga mama adikadi pattunde irpar. Durvasa suravanitapta divyamalyam. Now this Durvasa, while he was walking, he saw one stree carrying a mala. She said, Sir, this mala was given to be my Lakshmi Devi, you have it. That is our bhakti. See, this temple is good, but I am telling you, whenever I go to most of the other temples, we as devotees will think, when one devotee is being honored with a mala by the priest, as primitive mortals, we will be thinking, I should have also got the mala. Correct? But that intent will be there only till you receive that mala. After you receive that mala, you will now look for a place where to hide this mala. So when you do go around those big temples in Bharatadesham, there will be many holes. Slowly people will keep. So this lady was confused whom to give the mala to. Durvasa Maharshi comes. Durvasa, I have been waiting to give this mala. Take this mala. Durvasa instantly was gratified. He took this mala. Now he had no place of residence. Right? He had applied for visa. So he had no place. So where will he keep this mala? So he saw Indra coming. Indra was on Airavatam. So Indra, you take this. Indra had to get down from Airavatam to take the mala. So he instantly tapped on Airavatam and said, Airavat, lelo. So Airavata, with his trunk, took that mala. This was also fine. Indra should have adorned himself with that mala or kept the mala atop his head. That is Bhagavat Prasadam. He kept it on the mastakam of that elephant. That elephant would have been an Asiatic elephant. Asiatic elephants will have that kind of mastakam. He kept. And this mala had lot of pricking elements. See, when they put mala for us, I generally tell all the organizers, all your bhakti, please don't show in the mala. They'll put one mala, then the bees will start hovering. Angam harehe pulaka bhushanam ashrayanti bringween. See, Karna could take the bite of a bee. We are all curd rice. So I can't take the biting of a bee. Angam harehe pulaka bhushanam ashrayanti bringhanganeva mukula baranam tamalam. Adu hingarmanno. So this mala was kept atop the mastakam of the elephant. And elephants, we know, in literature we believe that they secrete an intoxicating fluid called madajalam. Undu madakkalitran. So this elephant found it very irritating to hold that particular garland. It shook its head, the elephant, the garland fell and it trampled on that particular garland. This was enough for Durvasa to get angry. Because of the haughtiness that has been bequeathed by you, since you possess so much, the riches that you have, you shall instantly lose those riches. Immediately, this elephant left Indra and went into the woods. The list of cows like Kamadhenu, Surabhi, Nandini in the backyard of Indra's Amaravati, not Naidu's Amaravati, another Amaravati. So that went into the woods. The Kalpaka Vriksham started withering. So there was only poverty, destitution reaching its zenith. At that point in time, Indra thought that I should gain this wealth back. He didn't know where these wealth were. He went to the Lord. He went to Brahma first. Brahma said, Ahihi mushikavat nyayam. Like the snake and that of mice, how the friendship comes in toughest of the times, you have to strike friendship with Asuras, your half-brothers. Then the Asuras said, we will take up the head portion of what? Of a churning rope called the snake Vasuki. See, this is a beautiful depiction of the churning. The churning rod was a mountain called Mandara Parvatam. The rope was a snake. Is all this imaginable? Whether it is imaginable or not, it deals more with geographic events. Let's take the Southeast Asia part. We go through Vietnam, Kambuja Desham called Cambodia, Laos, Thailand. Kurma Avataram is extremely popular in these countries because there is a river called Siam Reap near the city called Siam Reap in Cambodia, which flows. As it flows to a certain distance, it meanders and then goes back into a lake and churns. This geographic event is very similar to Kurma Avataram. That is why when you go to the beautiful temple called Angkor Wat, Angkor Wat is a 13th century Khmer dynasty temple constructed by Suryavarman II. You will find a beautiful wall of 216 feet. Of that panel is one panel of Kurma Avataram, 216 feet panel. If you go to Suvarna Bhumi airport as well, you will be welcomed by the Kurma Avataram episode. So Kurma Avataram has a lot of geographic significance. So here the churning started happening. Vadavarayai matta ki vasukiyai nana ki Kadal Vannan Pandorunal. These words in chaste Tamil are from a work by a Jain poet called Ilanko, in a work which is called as the detailing the era of an anklet. It is called Silappadigaram. So how this was churned? The Devas on one side, the Asuras on one side, they started churning. We talk about teamwork, right? So team player. So they started churning. What emerged first? Halahalam. Halahalam is poison, Kalakutam. This mention of Kurmavataram comes in Balakandam of Ramayanam, Adi Parva of Mahabharatam, Ashtamaskandam of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Vishnu Puranam Prathamamsham. So as Halahalam came, they all doubted, who will take poison? Will anyone say, sir, anybody wishes to drink poison? Devas and Asuras said no. That is when they started venerating Shiva. Drape andasaspate daridran nila lohita namakakubhaya nishangine stena nampataye namaha, says Sri Rudram. Rudramurti came. For the benefit of the world, I shall drink the poison. Neelakantha Vijaya Champu. Can anyone say who has composed Neelakantha Vijaya Champu? So this is by a poet called Neelakantha Dikshita, who comes in the lineage of Appaya Dikshita. He was the minister to Tirumalai Nayaka of Madurai. So Neelakantha Vijaya Champu, he says, Na khalvatmanas sachivoktam ityeva dharaniyam para sachivoktam. So Shiva drank that poison. Shiva is very handsome. Punnar Manian tells Nayanmar. He drank. Now there is a folklore. Parvati got extremely perturbed. So it is said in one of the shlokas that she came and held the flow of the poison. So that poison stayed and it became Neelakantha. But a poet in Sanskritam makes this also into a stuti. He says, look at this. Already it is poison. And she is choking him from outside. So which one will cause more harm to him? Bhattadri says, why did Shiva do this? In Rig Vedam there is a Rig. Keshi Vishasya Patrena Rudrena Pivatsaha is a Rig Vedam Rig. Why did Shiva consume this? He kept Vishnu as his Antaryami and drank. Bhattadri says, Bhavat Priyartham. But who protected Shiva? Adi Shankara says, Garalam Yatkshvelam Kabalitavatakala Kalana Nashambhos Tanmulam Tavajanani Tatanka Mahima. He says, how did Shiva survive this great poison called Kalakuta? Because of the greatness attached to the earrings of Parvati. The earrings of Parvati saved his life, it seems. Karalam Yatkshvelam Kabalitavata Kalakalana Nashambhos Tanmulam Tavajanani Tatanka Mahima. Then Shiva became Neelakantha. They started churning again. Then the mountain started going into the waters. To support that, they saw that the mountain was stable after some time. How was it stable? The Lord came as Kurma. Why did the Lord come as Kurma? Vedanta Deshika says, Avyasur Bhuvana Trayim Anibhritam Kanduya Nairandrina Nidranasya Parasya Kurma Vapushaha Nishvasa Vatormayaha Yadvikshepana Samskrito Dadhipaya Prenkola Paryankika Nityarohana Nirvrito Viharate Devas Sahaiva Shriya. The Lord wanted to scratch his back. Why? Because scratching one's back is actually a good pastime. You try it out. But even for the best of the well-built men and women, the hands won't reach till the end. It is very tough. So now you have one pencil with Adisesha at the top. So the Lord wanted to get his back scratched. He said, Lakshmi, she said, I'm already doing too much of thigh massage. I can't take this anymore. So the Lord said, what is the only way? Because for the turtles, the nerve endings form on the shell. So when you scratch the turtles, they are good. How do you know? You may ask. One of my friends has a turtle as a pet. So every time he talks to me, he'll keep scratching the back of the turtle. Kanduya Nairandrina. I asked why. Because they have nerve endings there. They'll feel very good if somebody scratches. That is why Vedanta Deshika says, Kanduya Nairandrina. So the Lord wanted to get his back scratched. So Mandara Parvatam was placed on the shell of the tortoise and they started churning. So this movement of the Mandara Parvatam on the back of the Kurma put him to sleep. If you scratch your back, you will sleep well. So as he slept well, he started snoring. As he snored, the waters turned into waves. Kanduya nairandrina nidranasya parasya kurma vapushaha. So they started churning. Then from it emerged lot of things. There is a list. You have Kamadhenu, Uchchaishravas, the leaves that had withered. In the backyard of Indra, they all started sprouting. Everything good came, they all started distributing. This distribution is not great for us. But what is great is, Mahalakshmi emerged. Because the lost wealth had to come, prosperity had to come. Lakshmi, Kshira Samudra Raja Tanayam Sriranga Dhameshwarim. She emerged. Now, she is presumed to be the daughter of the Ministry of Oceans. Samudra Raja Tanayam. She comes. Now she comes with a Varamala, Pondi Bazaar garland. Now the father says, whomever you wish you can marry. Give me a few choices, she asked. Will you marry Badri Narayana of Badrinath? Father asked. It's very cold there, father. Very cold. I don't think I can manage. I may get allergy. I'm allergic. Okay, then will you marry Ramachandra of Ayodhya? Now problems are solved. It is a better place now. Tum शादी करना चाहती हो, विवाह करना चाहती हो बेटी राम जी से? No, father, because he is married to Sita. He is monogamous. If I go and marry, the same state of Shurpanaka will happen to me. Will you marry Srinath ji of Nathdwar? Sune hai Nathdwar? Beautiful place. If you go to Dwaraka in Gujarat or Nathdwar in Rajasthan, the greatness is every half an hour they'll draw the screen in front of Krishna. क्यों खा रहे हैं? अरे भाई अभी तो खाए थे ना 56 भोग, हमारे कृष्ण जी खाते ही रहेंगे. फाफड़ा, खांडवी, ठेपला, चुंदा, उंधियो, everything they'll keep. So Lakshmi said, with this glutton I can't stay. Will you marry Vitthal of Pandharpur? Rupa pahata lochani sukh jalevu sajani toha विठल बरवा तोहा माधव बरवा. Will you marry Vitthal? Lakshmi said, see, he stands on one brick. You know that, right? Vitthal means he stands on one brick. Idenga veedu kattom. What the shangala nikkirathu? Will you marry Venkateshwara Swami of Tirumala Tirupati? Good choice, father. I can lead a comfortable life. Just that, to meet him I have to buy one VIP ticket. அவரை பார்க்கறதுக்கு டிக்கெட் வாங்கணும், ஜரகண்டின்னு சொல்லிவிடுவா. So will you marry ഗുരുവായൂർ കൃഷ്ണൻ? എന്താണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു സൗന്ദര്യമല്ലവാ, ലാവണ്യം സൗന്ദര്യം എത്രയോ സംഗമിച്ചു ഭഗവാനൻ്റെ ഒരു തിരുമേനിയിൽ. Will you have the choice to marry him? She said, I don't have a problem. He is 1.5 foot. I have to keep him in a basket and take him everywhere. Whom will you marry? I will marry the Lord of Srirangam. Did I tell about Srirangam that day? So, anybody from Srirangam here? Very nice place. But Vedanta Deshika belonged to Kanchipuram. He was a person of the Pallava Desham. Then, because of PS1 and PS2, he wanted to try out Chola Desham. So he came to Srirangam. He had one son called Kumara Varada while he was 49 years of age. With his wife and son, he shifted to Srirangam. Srirangam is centric to Sri Vaishnavism. All the Acharyas, Alvars have sung, no doubt. But you have to deal with the people of Srirangam very carefully. I'm cautioning you. Because they are very friendly, but it will take little time for you to understand the sarcasm which is embedded in their words. There won't be a straight talk at all. You'll have to decipher the sarcasm from those sentences very carefully. I have my own experience. Wonderful couple in Sri Rangam, aged couple, they would say, whenever you come to Sri Rangam for discourses, you have to stay with us. To honor the wish of such a learned couple, I went to their house. They served me right, they showered love, there was no question about that. So as I was leaving, they came till the gate of their house. And they said, and as they came, I said, sir, Mama, why should you come this far? You say, stay in your house, I will leave. So, okay, for those of you who can't understand Tamil, I told him, why do you have to come till the gate? You don't have to strain or tax yourself. You can stay in your house itself. To which he said, what if you come back? That's why I come till the gate to say bye to you. So you need little time to decipher what they have said. How does Vedanta Deshika know of this? He came from Pallava Desham. It's very tough for an immigrant person to be accepted by the local population, right? So, as he used to speak, one day probably he had an altercation with a Chola Desha's lady. Chola Desha's men are okay. Lady is the problem, he says. So, while she hit him back, he took half an hour, being the great poet he was, to understand what she had said. So, while looking at Ranganatha of Sri Rangam, he says, oh Lord, your head tresses are so curly. As a poet, he has to give an example, a simile as to how curly the hair tresses of the Lord are. Like the words which are filled with sarcasm of a provoked Choladesha lady, he says. Kupyat choli vachana kutilaihi kuntalaihi sishtamule. Kupyat choli, not even chola, choli. Provoked Choladesha ladies' words are so sarcastic that it will take half an hour for you to strip them away of the normal things and find the sarcasm. Now, Samudra Raja asked, Lakshmi, will you be able to adjust with Sri Rangam people? I will manage, she said. Lakshmim Kshira Samudra Raja Tanayam Sri Rangadhamishwari. So she was given the garland. This has been converted into a beautiful composition by one of the greatest poets we know, Purandaradasa. Kshirabdhi Kanike Shri Mahalakshmi Yarige Vadhuvaguve Mahalakshmi Yarige Vadhuvaguve. So, Lakshmi emerged. Then there was Amritam. What does Amritam do? What does Amritam do? Amritam? Immortality. Young people say, give correct answers. It gives immortality. On one side we read this, and on the other side we read Vedanta in Sanātana Dharma, which says, this body has to perish. Jivatma, Krishna has spoken in the middle of battlefield. Jivatma is Nityam, Shariram is Anityam. But we have been told, if you drink Amritam, you will get immortality, you will keep living eternally. Isn't this an oxymoron? Please understand, Puranam doesn't state, neither does Ramayana state, that Amritam bestows immortality. Amritam is also called by another name called Rasayanam. Rasayanam in Ayurveda Shastram, which has been invoked by Valmiki in Balakandam, states, it will make you look young. You will die, but till you die, you will look young. That is the only thing. It is like the anti-wrinkle cream. You get those anti-wrinkle creams. After the foundation, you put that, right? So you roll it up. It will take away the wrinkles, and it may seem you're not 50, you're 40. That is Amritam's job. Nothing can bestow immortality, because if you're born, you have to die. Understand Vedanta. Indra's position keeps changing. Brahma's position keeps changing. The one who is unborn will be the only one who will never die. Ajaya Mano will be the only one who will never die. The one who is born has to die. Then why is it being converted to immortality? Because we want to put our own internal wish on something. Namakku irukano aasai. Nothing can bestow immortality. Be prepared to welcome death at any point in time. That is what Vedanta teaches. If you have not learnt that, there is no use of reading Upanishads, sitting for Bhagavata Saptaham and all. Learn to accept Maranam as a reality. We don't know when. That is the greatness of life. One thing is for sure, everybody seated in this hall will die. But the beauty is we don't know when. But we shouldn't be living with the hope that we will be immortal. Where will that Amritam come? Nowhere that Amritam will come. Now, this Amritam was carried by the Lord himself in an avatara called Dhanavantri. Right? Dhanavantri is the medical practitioner. Maruttuvanai nindra mamani vanna. So he comes with leeches. If you see Dhanavantri, you will see leeches. Because in Panchakarma we have Vamanam. Have you heard of Vamanam? Endana Vamanam? Parayam. What is the meaning of Vamanam? Vamanam means vomit. Remember this. Vamanan is the Lord. Vamanam is to vomit. So then they will give you ghee. In Ayurveda it is called Sneha Panam. What is Sneham? Go ask Prasanna sir. He will only know about Sneham. Sneham means anything which is greasy. That which is a lubricant is called Sneham. Love is also called Sneham because love is also greasy. It is because of the attachment that we have for our children which is greasy. Sneham is also love. But Sneham technically means ghee. Sneha Panam means to drink ghee. Then that ghee will take all the toxins and you have to vomit. It is called Vamanam. So these are the 5 angas, Vamanam, Snehapanam. And the last is called Raktamochanam. It is believed if you have a pond, to clean the pond, you don't have to empty the pond. You take 1/5 of it out and the 1/5 which is generated for new is pure. That way blood is donated or taken by the leeches. So Dhanavantri is the one who encompasses all these 5 activities of Panchakarma. So he came with Amritam. This Amritam was carried by him. Devas and Asuras ran behind them. That is when the Lord incarnated as Mohini. She distributed. That is when Viprachitti, a demon, is supposed to have seen. The Lord with the eyes of the sun and the moon. Chandra Surya Nayana Aprameya Vagindra Janaka Sakalesha Shubra Nagendra Shayana Shamana Vairi Sannuda Kadir Madiyam Pol Mugattan Tingalum Adittanum Yerundar Pol. He saw with his eyes that were akin to the sun and the moon 2 Viprachitti who had quietly come into this Goshti. Then it is said that he cut the body because he had rasayanam in him. Then the tail and the head of the snake was attached, and then we believe it is called Rahu and Ketu. But the beauty is, none of our ancient people believed in Navagrahas. They believed in 7. It is called Varam. Sunday, Monday. They were called Varakritis. Even Dikshitar, Surya Murte, Angarakamashrayamyaham, there are only 7. Later, the Rahu and Ketu was added to make it Navagraham. That is why the 6th century great mathematician called Lalla in Sanskritam states, don't call Rahu and Ketu as Graham. Say that the demon at most has possessed the shadow during eclipses. They are not Grahams. So there is always a debate whether we should follow Rahu Kalam or not. Many traditional houses, they follow this pattern of looking into the Panchangam and checking whether it is Rahu Kalam or Yamagandam. At least I remember the days when I had to go to my grandparents' place. They will look into the Panchangam and then only send me. It should not be Ashtami, Navami, it should not be Bharani, Kritika, it should not be so many days. All these things used to be there in the Panchangam. But now I rarely go to my house. So for going to my house, I look at the Panchangam. Which day should I go? And interestingly, my flight takes off only at the Rahu Kalam time. So we can't help. Now, this is Kurma Avataram, Vamana Avataram. Shakrena Sanyati Hateyopi Balir Mahatma, Shukrena Jivita Tanukratu Vardhitoshma, Vikrantiman Bhayanilina Suram Trilokim, Chakre Vashesa Tava Chakra Mukhada Bhitaha. First of all, Avatars did not happen in the order in which we tell Dashavataram. You know that? Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. Avataram did not happen in this order. One. And many people will ask, sir, in certain Dashavatar we find Balramji. In certain Dashavatar we find Buddhji. What should we do? You listen to both Jis, because Dashavataram is not a fixed set of 10 avatarams. It is top 10 avatars chosen by one Acharya. That's all. There are many. See, for example, there are many songs. There is a huge archives of songs. But if you go check the iTunes 10 songs of this week, Aganaga will come in the first. For this week. Next week it will change. Correct. Similarly, of many avatars, the Acharyas have chosen. So in their list, Buddha may come. In another list, Balarama may come. So don't get confused with this. Two avatars did not happen in the order of Matsya, Kurma, Varaha. The first avatara is called Padmanabha Avatara. Then came Varaha, Udhritasi Varahena Krishnena Shatabahuna. Then came Nisimhavataram. Then came Kurmavataram. Then came Vamanavataram. Because Bali is part of Vamanavataram. And Bali is also part of Kurmavataram. And Bali is the grandson to Prahlada. Correct? So it couldn't have happened in that order. Now, Vamanavataram. See, this Vamanavataram also has a huge cosmic and geographic significance. You know, in Bharatadesham, we have too many New Years. You know that? Telugu and Kannada Astika celebrate it as Yugadi. First of all, it's a very unique word. One Yugam is not over. It is only one Sambatsaram. So it should be called Sambatsaradi. But why is it Yugadi? Because that 1 year seemed like one Yugam. So it's a time period. So Yugadi. The Tamil people call it Pudu Varsha Pirappu. Telugu, Malayalam, Vishu Kani. Then Marathi, Gudi Padwa. All of you are extremely intelligent. So we have all these New Years. All these New Years celebrated by different communities fall in the Uttarayanam period. Have you seen? But there is one community that celebrates New Year in the Dakshinayanam period. Deepavali for whom? What is it called? Dhanteras. Why? Why they alone should celebrate in the Dakshinayanam? Because there is one theory by some researchers that when Vamanavataram happened, as a cosmic and a geographic event, many islands were submerged in the southern hemisphere. So they came via boats and settled in the Malwa Plateau. So Malavas. So they were called Malwa Plateau. So for them, the corresponding New Year comes in the Dakshinayanam period. So they all settled there. That is why the calendar they follow is called Vikrama calendar, to commemorate Trivikrama. So there is a relationship between the Puranam and the cosmic events as well. Now, Indra had lost a lot of wealth because all his wealth were illegally seized by Bali Chakravarti. Bali Chakravarti was very smart in seizing properties. So to get his lost wealth back, he went and complained to his mother and father, Aditi and Kashyapa. They were helpless. They said, what can we do? That is when they prayed, shouldn't there be a solution for Indra's problems? That is when Kashyapa said, you perform a vratam called Payo Vratam. He advised Aditi Devi. Aditi said, what should I do? So you have to take the mud from the earth which has been bored with the tusks of a wild boar and apply it on your body and do Payo Vratam. Sini valya mrida lipyasnayat kroda vidirnaya. Yadi labhyeta vaistrotam yetam mantra mudirayet. What Varaha has done. In one place when I spoke about Varaha, nobody could relate. I said Rishabh Shetty. Varaharubam. Then only they understood Varaha's greatness. Anyways. Now, after performing this vratam, eventually she got pregnant and she delivered a kid. How was the kid? He was so premature and so small that not others came and saw and they were surprised at the boy. It seems that the dwarfs in the world, they reached the place where Aditi had delivered the boy and they came and saw the boy. We are dwarfs, but he's too dwarf. So, Alvar says, Kottangai Vamananai. The other dwarfs looked at this boy and said, he's too short. The original name given to him was Upendra, Indra's brother. But over a period of time, the nickname was Vamana, means the short. In Tamil, it is called Kural. Kural means short. So if you see the two-versed couplet of Thiruvalluvar, the second line will always be shorter than the first. So it's called Kural Nadai. So he was too short. Now, as this happened, the only way to win over Bali was to cause enmity between him and his teacher, because Bali respected his teacher a lot. Guru Bhakti will always elevate you. So the only way was to cause a rivalry between the two. Now, Vamana grew. When I say grew, don't take grew to a very large extent. Grew. So this Vamana had to get the Upanayanam done. Upanayati iti Upanayanaha. That ceremony or that samskara which takes you very close to Parabrahmam is called Upanayanam. This is the first samskara given in our set of samskaras which the child knowingly does. Because there are 7 other samskaras which have to be performed before he even has knowledge. We have Garbhodakam, how as a little seed, sperm, this goes into the ovum and fertilizes, Garbhodakam. Then in the 3rd month, Pumsavanam. 7th, 8th month, Seemantonnayanam. After the child is born, on the day of birth, there is no Ashaucham. So there is a karma called Jata karma on that day. 11th day, it is called Nama karma. Then there is a ritual where you have to do Annaprashanam. So you'll have to feed the child with some solid food. Then comes the ritual if it is a boy. Girl, no problem. For the boy, it is called Chaulam. You keep little hair. All this is performed when the child is not cognizant of what is happening. So it is only at the age of 7 the child knows what he is undergoing. So that is when that Upanayanam is performed for the boy. So in the Upanayanam, the boy is given the permission to go and study. So that is when Upanayanam is a samskara. That is when his studying has to begin. So in this samskara of Vamana Murti, Brihaspati gave the sacred thread, Kashyapa gave the dandam, earth, Bhumi Devi is said to have given the hide, the deer skin. Soma gave the staff. Dhyauhu gave the umbrella. Brahma gave the kamandalam. Saraswati gave Akshamala. Kubera, the private lender. What is that? Silicon Valley Bank? That Kubera, he gave the Bhiksha Patra. Private lender, Bhiksha Patra. Enkita ni podu ipdida ni somakano. Bhiksha Patram he gave. Then, Shastram tells that the first Bhiksha has to be given by the mother. You know, if you read Grihya Sutras, you will understand for the daughter or the son, mother is 100 times more important than the father. If the father says something and the child doesn't listen, sanātana dharma supports. It's okay if you don't listen to your father, but you have to listen to the mother. Mata putrasya bhuyamsi karmanyava rabhate. Even in pinda pradhanam, mother gets the maximum pindams. Father, just like that, he's there. So, mother is very important. So, abhivadaye can be done to the mother as well. But here, Aditi Devi did not give bhiksha. For Vamana, Umam Haimavatim, Parvati came and gave the bhiksha, says Bhagavatam. Now the boy is told you can take bhiksha from anybody. That is when to get the lost wealth for his elder brother Indra, he walks from Bihar to Gujarat. Sir, we thought Vamana Avataram happened in Kerala Malle. In your Onam, Sadhya Kadinchittu Vannavallo. No, that was action replay. See, I have this belief. Whenever I watch match very rarely. Whenever I watch match, Kohli will never do well. Either he will not hit or he'll fight with Gambhir. Gambhirama poi, both of them will be fighting. So what I will do is, I'll just go to my room to take some book. I believe if I go out of that spot, the team will score good runs. Then when I come back, then they'll start clapping in my house. Whether I have gone or whether he has it, I don't know. So after that, I'll come, Ennachi, helicopter shot, ingyo peduthu parunga. But I would have missed that shot. Because Kohli has to hit, he has to make those facial gestures and look at Anushka. Adena Vamikava. He has to look at Vamika also. So I have missed that great drishyam. If I've missed that helicopter shot, if I have not seen that shot, how am I entitled to moksham? I will not get entry to Sri Vaikuntham. So that is when Jio, earlier it used to be Disney, now Jio, what it has done out of great daya, anukampa, it will record that and replay it for me. So when it replays, it will do slow motion. That person will come, like Lasit Malinga, Mari Malai Mudanjil, Manni Kidandurangum, Shiri Ashingam, his hair will dance, golden streaks. Shiri Ashingam, Arivutru, Thividithu, Veri Mayirponga, Yapadum, Perundudari, he will come, and then Kohli will hit. What a great shot, huh? Tamadbhutam Balakam, what a great shot, huh? So I have witnessed this shot when the shot didn't happen, which means I have been given the opportunity to see it again. So as per Ramayanam, Aditi and Kashyapa delivered Vamana in Bihar. It is called Siddhashramam. For going and bringing back the lost wealth of his brother, Vamana walks till the Yajnavatika of Bali Chakravarti, who was performing the Yagam in the northern banks of Narmada river in a place which was called Bhrigu Kacham, which later became Bharuch in Gujarat. This is there in Bhagavatam. So the action replay of this avataram was sought by the rishis in Trikarkara, north of Ernakulam, and the Lord played that Vamana avataram again. Why? Because after Vamana avataram, during Rama avataram times, Parashurama has to go and create Kerala. Parashurama Kshetram. How could this have happened before? So, Vamana goes. Now, as Vamana goes, Bali Chakravarti is performing the Yagam. Towards the end of the Yagam, he will give whatever people ask. So, some of them ask, please give me one place in Bellevue, Sammamish, Redmond. They all asked. So, each one, he was giving whatever he could. Finally, when he had to wrap up the session, okay, everybody, whoever has come, I have given whatever I could. And then he had to wrap up. He heard one voice. Bali? He heard audio, no video. Where is this audio coming from? He checked down. There was one little boy standing like a Lilliput of the Gulliver Travels. He checked, what is this boy? He sat. Even then he couldn't meet his eye. Why have you come for, sir? Sir, I heard that you're giving alms to people who have learned the Vedas. I too have learned. I have come seeking land. No problem. Get those papers from Pallikkaranai, Vishmambalam, and those areas where we have created a lake into a land, so that when it rains, that land will become a lake. So give me those papers, he asked. But Vamana said, see, I don't need this land. Then I will measure with my own foot. Bali laughed. Your foot is barely negligible. It is not even there. What will you measure? You don't worry, you give it. As he was promising this boy, Shukracharya noticed this. He came running, caught hold of Bali and said, come here. And he took him aside and said, whatever I'm saying, don't react. Don't turn that side. Don't turn that side. That boy has come, right? Yes, Shukracharya ji, aaye hain. You know who is he? Some boy. No. In his previous incarnation of Nisimha, he is the one who tore open the stomach of your grandfather's father called Hiranyakashipu. This boy, don't turn. Keep listening to what I say. What has he asked? 3 measures of land. What have you said? I promised to give him. No, but you say, you now go and say, I'll get back to you shortly. If I tell I'll get back to you shortly, what will I be called? You'll be called customer care. Yeah. I don't know about the customer care here. Way back in India, you have to call. ஒன்றுக்கு தமிழுக்கு ஒன்றை அழுத்தவும். For English, press 2. 2. Press 3 for this, 4 for this. 3, 4 இப்படியே போட்டு. After that, it will get cut. Our karma. Right? So he said, I'll get back to you shortly. Bali said, I can't do that. Even if it is the Lord who has come at my doorstep and seeking alms, I deem it as an act of pleasure and pride to give what he has asked. So I will give. This is pride for me. This is what Vamana wanted. Now Shukracharya said, because of the possessions that you have, you seem to have the haughtiness. You shall very soon lose what you possess. The Lord was waiting. Deal done. Tick mark. Neelatoyita madhyastha vidyulleke vabhaswara. Blue tick of WhatsApp. Over. Done. Now, he came. He said, Vindyavali, go get my kamandalam. Bali Chakravarti. Because in those days, to register any particular charity, you either needed water or Agni. So he wanted to press water from that kamandalam. When she inverted, water didn't come. Like the taps of California. This year it has rained well. But in 2018, they'll come running. Swami, don't use much water. We don't have water. குளிக்கணுமே எப்படியோ இனி குளிச்சுக்குங்க நாளைக்கு பார்த்துக்கலாம். You go to Columbia River, bathe and come. Now, here, as they inverted, water didn't come. Bali Chakravarti said, I think we need to call the plumber. Call the plumber. The Lord said, don't worry, I have a toolkit with me. See, when I finished engineering and came home, my grandmother was of the impression that I could solve any problem on earth. And the day I entered my house, the fuse had gone away. So she said, fuse fix. Ayyo, party fuse alla enakku fix panna theriyadhu. Ubayogama irukradhu eduvume enakku kattu tharala. I know only the Bernoulli's equation. I know PV is equal to RT. I know those formula. You're asking me to fix fuse. Then I will become relevant. Engineering and relevance don't go hand in hand. Huh? So this boy said, I have a toolkit. He took the darbha grass and inserted. Because Shukracharya's dharma bhuta jnanam, not him, his jnanam had through yogic shakti pervaded in a bee that had fixed itself at the entrance of the water rivulet. So as he pricked, the bee lost its eye. Shukkiran kannai aruttane accho accho, tells Alvar. Shukracharya lost one of his eyes. He applied in Shankar Netralaya. Not received till now. That is why Dikshita tells, Keshava katakshaika netram. Then the waters were put and he said, what you measure with your own foot. As Bali Chakravarti turned left to give that kamandalam to Vindyavali, he saw some dark clouds enveloping him because there was no light. He thought, what is this? He turned right, he saw the boy growing without his dhoti tearing. He's growing, but the dhoti didn't tear. Why? Because as the Lord grows, his dhoti will also grow. Avan valarumbodhu avan vibhutigalum சேர்ந்து வளர்ந்திருக்கவுமாம், says the commentary. Now he grew. There is an easy way of saying, he grew and grew and grew and grew. This is one way of saying. In harikatha we have style, appo jil 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 jinnu perumal vandaram, appo jil dan 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 valandunde ponar valandunde ponar. I can neither do both. I will rely on my hero. Who is my hero? Vedanta Deshika. Vedanta Deshika comes up with one beautiful reference. He says, instead of saying he grew and grew and grew, that doesn't determine the eloquence of a person. As the Lord grew, the constellation of stars initially were like a canopy. As he grew, they became his necklace. As he grew further, they became his girdle, Mekhala. As he grew further, the constellation of stars became his anklet. See, one is a variable, the other is a constant. This is how a poet comes up. And the great poet he was, he says, Bhakta priyatvai tatha parivardhamane, parivardhanam is canopy. Mukta avitana vitatistava purvamasit haravali paramatho rashana kalapaha taraganastadanu mauktika nupurashrihi. So the constellation of stars were there where they were. As he grew, the canopy turned into necklace, necklace turned into girdle, girdle turned into anklet. Good. But the problem is, what fits as necklace won't fit as the girdle. Yeah. You need 10 necklaces to fit as girdle. What fits as a necklace won't fit as a girdle. But Samudrika Lakshana Shastram says, for the man and the woman, the size of the neck should be the size of the hip. You can have quinoa, black rice, brown rice, broken rice, no rice, keto, tofu, A2, A1, grass-fed, vegetarian, whatever you try. The neck size should be the hip size. So what fits here should fit here for both the man and the woman. Will it fit? No. That's why I'm covering myself. Because then people will say, sir, konja weight pottedo. Taraganastadanu mauktikanu purashrihi. Then the Lord is said to have put his one foot up. We generally say he measured the worlds, which is the wrong word. Measurement doesn't mean literal measurement. Which means you have accepted that respect. That's all. See, when scholars come into a temple, there is a paddhati of welcoming them with a Purna Kumbham. You recite some shlokas and you welcome them. But Purna Kumbham has a rule. You should give it to the person who knows the value of Purna Kumbham. See, if a person doesn't know what Purna Kumbham, while the Purna Kumbham is being given, he will take that Purna Kumbham and keep it with him. Eduthu vechundruvar. Ayyo Swami, totta poro. Velli sombunna adu. Kuduthurungo. So, here the Lord just touched. As his foot was going upwards, again there is a beautiful imagination here. Saraswati Devi told, my Lord is Brahma. My Lord, some foot is coming towards our house. Brahma held the petal of the lotus and peeped. Oh, it is the foot of your father-in-law. Because Brahma is the son of the Lord, so Saraswati is the daughter-in-law. Kalavatim Kamalasana Yuvatim Kalyanam Kalayatu Saraswati Sharajotsna Shuddham Shashivadanam Kashmira Nagara Viharam Para Sharadam Parankushadhara Varada Abhayapasha Pustaka Kara Surachita Padambuja Shobhana Shveta Pankajasana Surasana Purari Gurugu Agridaya Ranjani Murari Snusha Niranjani. Snusha means daughter-in-law. Murari Snusha. So she said, ब्रह्म जी देखिए ससुर का आ रहा है कमलपाद. So immediately he took his kamandalu. There was Ganga waters in it. He poured and it was used to clean the foot. Then those waters reached Kailasham. Shiva Bhagavan accepted it. It comes in Bhagavatam, in Nayanmar's Padalgal. And now he measured the upper worlds, Bhumi. How was the Bhumi measured? Did he go place after place? First he covered Ukraine, sir. Lot of war. Then he moved towards Europe. Then he came towards Africa. He was lost in the Bermuda Triangle. Nothing like that. When he measured the world, it means a cosmic event, which is, let's say we are cooking. The men and the women, we are cooking. When we are cooking, there is a beautiful box made by our ancestors called Anjarai Petti. Have you heard of it? So it will have all the necessary ingredients to make your cooking, much better. So as you're going to season it with some mustards, you may take with some moist fingers and put your fingers into that mustard cup. So the mustard gets into the frying pan, but some of it is still stuck to your fingers. So you may rub it on your dress or apron. Those mustards fall on the floor and you walk over it. You won't even realize your foot is stuck with the mustard. So later, when you are positioning yourself before the mirror and doing yoga, and when you're looking at your Divya Mangala Padam, it will have a few mustard seeds on it. Then you will realize, oh, these mustards have been stuck to my foot. Same was the case with all the grahams to the Lord. They were like mustard seeds to the foot, it seems. So, when people ask, sir, should we do everything only in Bharata Desham? Yes, it is called Karma Bhumi. But on the other hand, does the other geography mean it is bad? No. When the Lord measured the world, He measured these worlds also under His foot. So Mississippi is also sanctified by the Lord's foot. Colorado is also. Columbia is also. Correct? Now, the Lord measured the worlds. Correct? Now, how many times He measured? Upper, lower. How many? What more left? One left. What did Bali do? Bali gave his head. Where was Bali when the Lord measured the earth? He had measured the earth with Bali, right? Yeah. When you have sold the cake with the icing, then after that person pays the bill, you say, please pay for the icing. Sir, I gave money for the cake with the icing. How can you allow? Correct? You are able to get the question. The problem statement is clear. Why did the Lord keep His foot on Bali's head when he was already measured? And why did Bali even choose to give this option? This was not that sagacious of him to give this option. Why did he give? See, I don't know how many of you have noticed in traditional marriages, you'll be given the invitation. It will have a bright yellow on one side and a hitting pink, which is an eyesore on the other side. Have you seen that combination, that yellow and pink? You try draping yourself with one of these colors in your clothes. I'm sure even if there aren't dogs, there will be a few that will chase you. So in that invitation, we may never get to see the details, but it will be written like this. Srimad Vedamarga, I'm just telling you how a typical Iyengar, Sri Vaishnava invitation would look. So you can extrapolate it to your own communities. Srimad Vedamarga Pratishthapanacharyarai, Shanta Shamadamadi Asankheya Kalyana Gunangal Sampurnarai Elundarulirukkakoodiya Swamiyin Sannidhiyil Adiyen Thalum Tadakkayum Koopichayum Vignapanayum Ubhaya Kushalopari Kshemam. Nobody will read this. It praises us that we are all repositories of all qualities, which we aren't. I meant. So, then it will say, Ayyampettai Rajagopala Ayangarin Dauhitranum Shevilimedu Viraraghava Ayangarin Pautranum Adiyenin Jeshta Kumaranumana Aparyaptamritan Yengendra Sunilai. On the other side, the girls' ancestors will be mentioned. Apita Kuchambal Yengendra Nishavai. We know only the darkness, Nisha. We don't know Apita Kuchambal. Panigrahanam Seidu Kolvadai Periyorgalai Munnittu. Then you will say Srimad Azheshingarin Anugrahathai Munnittu, Andavan Swami Anugrahathai Munnittu. Number 3, AP Road, Nasamani Ponayathiru. Huh? Yeah. So we will get you married. So when this invitation, traditionally now we give these invitations as an e-invite. There's an RSVP. You are coming, we are happy. If you are not coming, we are very happy. So when we give this invitation, now it's an e-invite. But traditionally, I'm sure the elderly people here will know, you have to go and invite that person. Otherwise, they'll take it to heart. You have to go with fruits, betel leaves, and then go to that house. And it used to be a huge joint family. There'll be about 4 sisters-in-law living together. 4 brothers, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, and the mother-in-law of the mother-in-law will also be surviving. So, it used to be a big family. And then there used to be a new entrant, Dashamo Graha, the 10th Graha, who? son-in-law of that house, because he'll trouble more than the 9. Those son-in-laws, you're all very good. Seattle sons-in-law are very good. I'm talking about those son-in-law. So, the person, poor thing, used to come with an invitation and used to say, I have my daughter's marriage. Please, all of you, Sakutumba Sametarai, please, all of you, come. These people will nod their head, the person will leave. Then after that, we'll begin the discussion. This son-in-law will say, Enna thimiru? Enakku kuduttara? He said, all of you come. He should have called me separately. I am not a part of the all. Though I am standing amidst you, I am not a part of that all. When the Lord measured the earth, Bali thought he has measured the earth, not me. So that me, which is ahankaram, was then put forth snubbed by the Lord in the 3rd foot. Purinjutta invitation. So Andal loves Vamana and Trivikrama. That is why once in every 10 pasurams she'll invoke him. Vongi ulagalanda uttaman perpadi. Uttaman perpadi. He's the best. Why? He doesn't see disparity, whether you're white, black, yellow, nothing. He treats you equally. Vongi ulagalanda uttaman perpadi. Pasuram number 3. Pasuram number 17. Ambara moodaruthu ongi ulagalanda. Pasuram number 24. Andru ivvulagam alandayadi potri. So he came as Vamana, grew up as Trivikrama and blessed. Then Vamana tells Dushyanth, it is high time you go to Krishna Avataram. So in Sri Krishna Avataram, we have to welcome Krishna with all the Melakarta ragams. We are going to the grandest of avatarams. Many acharyas, there is not one person who has not spoken about Krishna. Arunagirinatha, one of the foremost devotees of Kartikeya, in the first Tiruppugal says, Muttaitarubatti tirunagayattikkire shakti charavana muttikkuru vittikkuru varayana vodum. முக்கட்பரமர்க்குச் சுருதியின் முற்பட்டது கற்பித்திருவரும் 30 முவர்க்கத்தமரரும் அடிப்பேண 10 தலவொத்த கணைதொடு ஒற்றைக் கிரைமத்தைப் பொருதொரு பட்டப்பட வட்டத்தீரில் இரவாக 10 ரதத்தைக் கடவிய பச்சை புயல் மெச்சுத் தகுபொரு ரட்சத்தொடு ரட்சித்தருள்வதும் ஒரு நாளே 10 இரதத்தை கடவிய 10 is Partha, ரதத்தை ரதம். The one who was a Parthasarathi, Kadaviya Pachai Puyal, the one who has the hue of the emerald, Tagu Porul Pakshattodu. Arunagirinatha says. Sadashiva Brahmendra, have you heard of him? He was a great Advaitic scholar. He was an Avadhuta. He saw Brahman everywhere. Sarvam Brahmamayam. He was interviewed by a journalist called Arnab. Arnab went and interviewed Sadashiva Brahmendra, and he allowed Sadashiva to speak. That is the greatness of Arnab's interview. Seattle wants to know, Sadashivji, whom do you like? Sadashiva said, I like Brahman. No, I would like to know very specifically one thing that I would like to know. Whom do you like the most? Brahman. I'm going to pursue this question, Sadashivji. Tell me clearly. Pause your recording button. Sadashiva said, okay, tell me whom do you like the most. I love Brahman. I know he's formless, attributeless. He has pervaded the entire space. But there is one figure that keeps coming as flashes in front of my eyes. Who is he? Arnab asked. There's a little boy with the hue of the emerald and the sapphire as a beautiful medley that glistens and illuminates. There is a thin string of newly born white pearls that are used to beautifully dress his hairdresses. And well, above that I see a beautiful peacock feather. Very good. Can you tell me more? Madashikhi pincha alankrita chikure mahaniya kapola vijita mukure manasa sancharare brahmani manasa sancharare. Meera, she says, how would you like to see Krishna? In the beautiful moonlit night, when the nectarine rays of the moon fall between the autumnal seasoned, bereft of leaf branches of the tree, and they fall on the ground, I should be able to listen to the beautiful melodious sound of the flute. Neela malarnda இரவினில் தென்றல் உலாவிடும் நதியில் நீல நிறத்து பாலகன் ஒருவன் குழல் ஊதி நின்றான். காலமெல்லாம் அவன் காதலை எண்ணி உருகுமோ என்னுள்ளம். காற்றினிலே வரும் கீதம், காற்றினிலே வரும் கீதம். Madhusudana Saraswati, one of the greatest Advaitic scholars who gave us Advaita Siddhi, he tells at the end, I have written much about Advaita, but one thing comes before my eyes. Krishnat param tattvam aham na jane. I know nothing greater than Krishna for me. Nammalvar says, உண்ணும் சோறும் பருகும் நீர் தின்னும் வெற்றிலையும் எல்லாம் கண்ணன். For me, Krishna is everything. So Krishna Avataram is the zenith of devotion. The bhakti, Krishne bhakti prajayate. How many ever avatars I have spoken, how many ever days I speak, when it is Krishna Avataram, it is a grand entry. It is into the entry, Vedanta Deshika says, Jagati Gitayandham Tamaha, the avataram that gave us so much the essence of Upanishads in the form of Gita. So here we welcome the Lord through ragas. Natara Bhibhupala Bilahari Maya Malava Gaula Asaveri Saveri Shuddha Saveri Devagandhari. Ningalon sollaam Swami. Dhanyasi Begada Hindustani Kapi Todi Nata Kurinji Shri Raga Sahana Atana Sarangi. This is a part of Srinivasa Gadyam. Darbaru Pantu Varali Varali Kalyani Bhuri Kalyani Yamuna Kalyani Husheni Janjoti Kaumari Kannada Karahara Priya Kalahamsa Nada Nama Kriya Mukhari Todi Punnaga Varali Kambodi Bhairavi Yadukula Kambodi Ananda Bhairavi Shankaravarana Mohana Re Gupti Saurashtri Neelambari Gunakriya Meghagajjani Hamsadhvani Shokavarali Madhyamavati Jenjuruti Suruti Dvijavanti Malayambari Kapi Parashudhanasari Deshika Todi Ahiri Vasanta Gauli Santu Kedara Gaula Kanakangi Ratnangi Ganamurti Vanaspati Vachaspati Danavati Manarupi Senapati Hanumattodi Dhenuka Nataka Priya Kokila Priya Rupavati Gayaka Priya Vakula Bharana Chakravaka Suryakanta Hatakambari Jankaradvani Natabhairavi Girvani Harikambodhi Dhira Shankara Bharana Naga Nandini Yaga Priya Visramara Sarasa Gana Rasetyadi Santada Santanyamana Nityotsava Pakshotsava Masotsava Samvatsarotsavadi Vividhotsava Kritanandaha Srimatananda Nilayavasaha Shri Shri Nivasaha Suprasanno Vijayatam. Vedanta Deshika invokes Krishna's grace through a verse that has no parallel. Vande Vrindavanacharam Vallavi Janavallabham Jayanti Sambhavandhama Vaijayanti Vibhushanam. Vande Vrindavanacharam. Vrinda in Sanskrit means thorn. Brinda means tulasi. This place earlier was infested with thorns. But the inmates of Gokulam thought, since there were many demoniac activities happening in Gokulam, for the safety of Krishna, we have to shift to a place infested with thorns. By we walking over the thorns may turn softer and turn into grass. Mandam mandam madhuranadair venuma purayantam vrindam vrindavanu bhuvigamam charayantam charantam chando bhage shata makhadhvamsina danavanam Hantaram tam kathayarasane gopakanya bhujangam, says Leela Shukan Krishna Karnamritam. So they turn into grass. That is why Uttukad Kavi of the 17th century says, if at all there is a rebirth to me, I should be born as grass in Vrindavanam. Pullai piravi taravendum kanna punidamana palakoti piravi tandalum Vrindavanamidiloru pullai Vande Vrindavanacharam. The one, my salutations and obeisances to the person who has walked on the grass of Vrindavanam. Vande Vrindavanacharam. Vallavi Janavallabham. The one who's the resplendent gem that shines on the tiara of the people who love him the most. Jayanti Sambhavandhama. The one who was born on Jayanti. Who was born on Jayanti? Ambedkar. Because we celebrate Gandhi Jayanti, Nehru Jayanti, Ambedkar Jayanti, Stalin Jayanti, everybody's Jayanti. But Jayanti means, in Muhurt, in Jyotishya Shastram, when that Avani Masam, that month, in the waning phase, it is called Krishna Paksham. In that there should be Ashtami Tithi, Krishna Ashtamyam. In that the star of Rohini should be there. So it should be Avani month, it should be Krishna Paksham, it should be Ashtami, it should be Rohini. When all four come together, that Muhurtam is called Jayanti. So Jayanti essentially doesn't mean birthday. Jayanti Sambhavan Dhama, the one who was born on Jayanti, but what does he sport? Vaijayanti Vibhushanam. So Krishna Avataram is described. That is when they say, now this is when Shuka Brahmam has answered the question of Parikshit. Day 1, you remember? 6:45 he asked, Draunasya Viplushtam Idamandagam, tell me about the person who protected me. On day 4 he is answering. Because this is the blue jacket diamond. He has to reveal it slowly. Right? So the movie will come later only. First teaser, trailer, audio launch, all that will come. So all other skandas are like audio launch and trailer. This is the main. Picture baki hai mera dost. So Mother Earth is believed to have gone in the form of a cow and she starts crying before the Lord. Gaur bhutva ashrumukhi kinna. Lot of people are troubling me, Brahmaji. Some people are boring for water. Some people are doing fracking technology. I have to go to Houston next. So they are using that technology. Some are extracting oil. There is fight over oil. So some say that I can't buy oil from you directly, I will buy through a third country, let it come. So they are doing so much. Brahmaji, I am very patient. My name is Bhumi. I am very patient. But if I just get migraine and shake my head, Turkey says don't. So what do I do? Gaur bhutva shrumuki khinna krandanti karunam vibhoho upasthitantike tasmai vyasanam swamavochyata. Then Brahma, as usual, he said, I don't have a solution. Let us go to Narayana. Purusham Purusha Suktena. As they recited Purusha Suktam, the Lord said, what do you want? He said, there are a lot of people are troubling me. What should I do? Then he took one white hair and black hair and threw. Krishna Sita Keshav, says Purana. One white hair, one black hair. They were born as Krishna and Balarama. In the days of 1960s, Sengalipuram Anantarama Dikshitar was one of the tallest persons in Upanyasam. Appo, Perumal, Vandu, Kataram, Uru, Krishna Kesham, Uru, Shukla Kesham, Potaram, Ade, Potadanale, Perumal, Pirandaram. Audience used to sit and listen. Now if I tell, one child asks, how will the Lord have white hair? Has he become old? So Kesha in Sanskritam doesn't mean only hair, it means a ray of light. So while we talk about a prism, we always say white light gets into it and then creates a spectrum of Vibgyor over which we have UV and IR. So white light is called Kesha. Sita Krishna is white and unwhitened light. So that is how the Lord chose to be born, saying that my manifestation shall soon be there. Now he had to choose a father. We are not given that option, right? We are not given whether the father likes me or not, I am his son. He has to live with it. Whether I like him or not, he is my father, I have to live with it. But the Lord chooses his father. That's his greatness. So he has to choose a father. Now let's come to how he chose his father. In Mathura, now there is a big debate. Sir, is it Madhura or Mathura? In many Puranas, it is mentioned as Madhura. Madhu means honey. But using a certain sutra of Panini, you can convert that dha into tha. So Madhura can also be treated as Mathura. What is it famous for? Petha and Peda. Peda सुने हैं ना आप? जो दूध से बनती है. दूसरा है पेठा. पेठा सुने हैं? हाँ, white pumpkin. அதெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சு வச்சுப்போம் சார். நீங்கள் வந்து என்ன? Petha we like so much. Peda, Petha. Like Krishna, Balarama, they are famous in Madhura. Now this Madhura had a great king. Powerless king. Inga Manmohan Mari. So, he had one son called Kans. This Kamsa had a sister called Devaki. Devaki was to be given in marriage to Anaka Dundubi. That was the name of the son-in-law. She said, what name, sir? From now on, I have to say Devaki, Anaka Dundubi. Does he have any other name? So they immediately said, Vasudev. So Vasudeva was given in marriage. Now, both of them were, after the marriage, they were kept on the chariot, and then there was a procession. I'm sure, again, the children who have grown up here may not be able to relate to. The elderly people will know. Prior to the day of marriage, there used to be a samskaram called as Janavasam, Bharat. So the boy and the girl are taken in the rose-studded ambassador car. So that boy will be seated, the girl will be seated. So slowly the car will go. Why was this Janavasam celebrated? Because this was the official background check for the boy. Because if the boy was already married, how will we know? Right now we have a lot of social media handles. We can check whom he has liked, whom he has pressed like, whom he has retweeted. All that we can check. But how will we know the boy? That is why they used to take this car slowly on the roads of the city. So they used to do this Janavasam. So generally people ask me, sir, did you have Janavasam for your marriage? See, I said, I live in Bangalore. I have Nitya Janavasam. Every day our outer ring road will be Janavasa procession only. So we don't have to spend. So I spared my in-laws and parents for spending. So then there will be many people carrying that badam plate, pista plate. Then there will be Nagaswaram. They'll be going. Now, Devaki and Vasudeva were seated in the chariot. Kamsa was the driver. He said, for my sister. Yema, nyabagam irukka? Nee panji mittai ketiye? Huh? And he sat as the doting brother and he said, I will ride the chariot. And he started riding. There was an ethereal voice. Muttal, Muda, Murkha. He turned. He knew what he was inherently. So the ethereal voice said, Ashtamo Garbhaha, the one whom you are lovingly, sportingly carrying in your chariot, her 8th Garbham will be the cause of your death. Till now, pause a malar. He took the sword from the scabbard, pulled her by her hair and wanted to behead her, guillotine her. Had I been in Vasudeva's position, I would have left. See, honestly, I would have left. Because he was already married, he had many wives, so what can we do? I condole the death. Then I would have gone and tweeted. When nothing works on ground, I'll go and tweet. So, here we have Nandagopala who said, don't kill her. Kamsa, body is perishable. Atma is nityam. Atma will never die. So body is perishable. Why do you have to kill her and accrue sins? The Lord was waiting for whom to choose as his father, right? this man is my father, he chose. Because later in Krishna Avataram, when everybody was on the verge of hitting head on in the Yuddham, Krishna goes and patiently says, Arjuna, Atma is Nityam, Shariram is Anityam, this is Karma Yogam, that is Jnana Yogam, that is Bhakti Yogam. Arjuna forgot what question he had asked. என்ன கேள்வி கேட்டேன், இவர் என்ன பதில் சொல்ற, சண்டை போடலாமான்னு கேட்டேன், இவர் ஏதோ கர்மயோகம், ஞான யோகம், பக்தி யோகம். See, Krishna was not given mic for a very long time. Some people who love to speak but they are not given a mic, they'll start speaking anything and everything. So here Vasudeva said, don't worry Kamsa, if we have children, I will give them to you. Leave her, spare her. Kamsa said, you are very good because you take loans, you pay, you don't go to UK. So, fine, I will take you. And then he treated the words of Vasudeva to be genuine. They produced the first child. The first child was given back to Kamsa. And Kamsa said, no, Vasudeva, you are बहुत अच्छे हैं आप, ले लीजिए. Then Narada came, see, in this joy they'll keep producing children. What if the seventh child's pituitary gland has worked better than the sixth? So you may assume the seventh to be the sixth and the sixth to be the seventh. So you won't know the right count of the eighth. Namak Kamsa arrears. If you give him such confusing problems, he won't understand. He said, what should I do now? I don't know, you decide. He started killing the children and put both Vasudeva and Devaki in the jail. To prove that he's a fool, he put them in the same jail. Had he put them in different numbers, 301, 302, my Bhagavata Saptaham would have gotten over at 8:15 itself. Kavita Arkika Simhaya, this is where. Now, Devaki had a seventh Garbham, and that was supposed to be taken by Yogamaya, something, not exactly, very akin to the theoretical concept of embryonic transfer. Now, the eighth time she got pregnant. As she was pregnant for the eighth time, Vedanta Deshika comes up with his own set of 60 verses, how she felt while she was pregnant with the Lord. It seems, he says, women who are generally dark in complexion look fair during gestation because your skin gets stretched. Your food is also has another recipient, which is the developing fetus. So they give you folic acid and iron tablets. So you may look or turn pale. So a dark complexioned lady may seem pale or fair during gestation. But Vedanta Deshika says, see here, this fair Devaki looks dark. Why? Because the darkness of the boy was so profound that he had pervaded over the skin of his mother also. Vedanta Deshika says at one point in time in the second trimester, she looked silverish. Shatahlada bandhuraya swakantya sanjati jambudana bimbakalpa trayanta yugmena rasayanena kalena bheje kaladhauta lakshmim. She looked silver. Why? Because she looked like a kaleidoscope. The one whom she was sporting in her amniotic sac was the Lord. Who was the Lord? Dark. Correct. Is the Lord dark or gold? Because Chandogya Upanishad, any Samavedis here? I won't ask any more questions. Samavedama yaradhu irukala? Anybody who knows you are from Samavedam? Anybody here? So Chandogya Upanishad is integral to Samavedam. Chandogya Upanishad says, Apranaghat sarvayeva suvarnaha. From head to toe he is gold. Hiranyas mashruhu. Parabrahmam has got gold mustache. Hiranya keshaha, gold hair. So he is head to toe gold. But Purana state he is black. So whether he is black or whether he is gold. See, if you see those cutouts of great actors, I don't know how phonetic are people here. For us, first day, first show means there will be a big cutout, 50 feet cutout, dark cutout. Over that they will paste. So if it is dark cutout, imagine I've bored something in the heart. Now to you it looks black. From the back, if I put some torch, keep the torch on, suddenly you'll get that flash of light emanating from the bore in the heart. So suddenly that cutout will look bright gold. It is black. Similarly, the Lord is originally black. He's dark. But Mahalakshmi, whose gold like torch sits in his heart, so he seems gold. So he is dark. Why is he dark? He generally in our Bharatiya society or Bharatiya origin society, we have this paddhati. Maaplaya, karippa irkara. Eppadi na karippa eppadi irkar? Appa karippo. Somebody has to be dark. Rumba yellu runde shart irka pola. Katrikai. So we generally ask, how is he dark? We'll always get into that research. Nannarpa, parval. So this darkness should have a reason. He is the causeless cause. You cannot say his parents were dark. He has no parents. How did he turn dark? Vedanta Deshika gives 4 permutations. He says, the Lord sports Krishna Tulasi, which is dark in color. So since he is like glistening like a diamond, the reflections of the dark Tulasi would have fallen on him. He would have turned dark. He has got Brahma seated on a lotus, and around the lotus the bumblebees hover. The bumblebee's darkness would have fallen on his body and he would have turned dark. He was brushing his teeth, looking at the waters, flowing waters of Yamuna. Yamuna is called Kalindi, which is dark. Since he was looking to the reflections at the Yamuna water, the darkness of the Yamuna must have stuck to his face, so he has turned dark. The last, he says, Mahalakshmi was given in marriage to the Lord by the father. Now, did I tell you about my grandmother, grandfather? My grandmother is good looking. I'll show you tonight. So, my grandfather was dark. So now, the goddess was assuming, how will the Lord be? Because she was not shown the profile photo and he had locked his profile. FB, he had locked the profile. So how will she see? So she comes with a lot of hope and expectation. When she sits on his lap and turns towards him, Keshadi Padam, she sees, he has exceeded her expectations. In this element of surprise, her already large eyes. See, Samudrika Lakshana Shastram says for both the man and the woman, eyes should be large enough till it has to extend till the ear. Check that out. Kadiyavagi pudai parandu milirundu shevvariyodi need. A periyavaya kangal. That is why dancers very intelligently, they will apply collyrium till the ears. Eyes are not going till the ears, let at least the eye text go. So, in that element of surprise, Mahalakshmi is looking at the Lord. He's too handsome. So, her already large eyes enlarged further, and the collyrium that was applied on her eyes, they spread into light pockets in the air, and that fell on the Lord, and he turned dark. Lakshmi netrotpala shrihi satata parichaya desha sambardhyamanaha. Nabhi nalika rinkan madukara patali datta hastava lambaha. Asmakam sampadogan avirala tulasi dhamasanjata bhuma kalindi kantihari kalayatu vapushaha kalima kaitabharehe, says Deshika. So the Lord is dark. The dark Lord has Mahalakshmi in his heart, who's gold. Gold-hued Mahalakshmi has her feet drenched in mehendi, so it is red. Red feet Mahalakshmi with a gold hue body sits in the dark Lord in the fair Devaki. 4 colors put together, she became silver. Shatahlada bandhuraya swakantya. Now, as she used to walk, Kamala Silvaraj advised, Devaki, don't sit in one position, keep walking. Where she had place, it was a small jail, so she kept walking. As she walked, she felt as if she was flying. After having gone to Universal Kingdom, the roller coaster rides, you have that inertia, right? She felt she was flying, so she thought it is a vertigo problem. She sat on the ground and she slept. As she lied on the floor was a bit slippery. She didn't know what was the reason. Vedanta Deshika says, knowing that the Lord Paramatma is housed in her garbham, Garuda became the Vahanam, so she had this feeling of flying, and Adisesha became the couch. That is why she felt it was slippery. Sesheshayanam Garudena Yantim Padme Nishannam Adiratna Peetham. So, while this was the situation, no, everybody slept except Vasudeva, Devaki, Kamsa and Yogamaya. Yogamaya was given the task. Yogamaya, you have to go into the Jataram of Nandagopala's wife, Yashoda. A girl child will be born. So Ashtami Tithi was slowly coming to a close. Now, I would request the lights be switched off. Take your phones. Keep the torch on. Now, we'll have the Avatara Ghattam in Dashamaskandam. So, with the torch light, you can do Harati to Krishna from wherever you are. That Sargam is very important. So, as it was the night of Ashtami, in the Krishna Ashtamyam, Devaki felt that little pain where she was laboring and then the child had to come out. It was that beautiful night when the Krishna Megha Janitam Janitapaharam, the dark clouds had even tried to cover the little rays of the moon to creep between the branches and fall on the earth. It was all dark. Pouring cats and dogs. Everyone sleeping except the mother, the doting father, and Kamsa and Yogamaya. That night, when it was close for the Ashtami Tithi to complete, and Anakam and Dundubi, the Vadyams were being played, when the Shankhanadam was heard, at that point in time, we had the birth of Krishna. The lights can be switched off. Tamadbhutam balakamambuje chaturbhujam shankhagadharyudharyudam Shrivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubam Pitambaram sandrapayodi saubhagam Maharha vaidurya kirita kundaladvisha parishvakta Sahasra kuntalam Uddhama kanchi gadakankanadibhir Virochamanam vasudevam aikshata Tamadbhutam balakamambuje chaturbhujam shankhagadharyudharyudam Shrivatsalakshmam galashobhikaustubam Pitambaram sandrapayodi saubhagam Maharha vaidurya kirita kundalatvisha parishvakta Sahasra kuntalam Uddhama kanchi gadakankanadibhir Virochamanam vasudevam aikshata. So on this beautiful night of that hour, that time when Krishna was born was called Jayanti. That became as Shri Jayanti because Shri is Vedam. The Veda's essence is Krishna. So this boy was born. There's more to Krishna Avataram. What happened during that night? Tam Adbhutam Balakam. What an extraordinary child. It is beyond logic. See, whatever I try explaining, I try connecting science, whatever little possible, because science and religion can't always be mutually exclusive. They have to meet in certain points. Naturally, beautifully, effervescently meet. But Krishna Avataram goes beyond logic. Tam Adbhutam Balakam. Balakam. What does Balakam means? Little boy. Alparthe kaf pratyayaha. You use the suffix ka in Sanskritam to denote a very little child. Kam Balakam. But there's another meaning. Kaha in Sanskritam means Brahma. Balaha kaha yasya saha balakaha. The boy who gave rise to Brahma while he was born. So when Krishna was born this size, from his nabhi was a little lotus. Seated on that lotus was little Brahma. So Devaki became a mother while she became a grandmother. Tam adbhutam balakam. Ambuja ikshanam, those eyes were as if the petals of a newly blossomed lotus were stuck on his face. Ambuja ikshanam, chaturbhujam, with 4 hands. Which child is born? Shankhagadharyudharyudam, small chakram, small shankam, matchstick like little gada, little lotus. From that nabi there is another lotus. On that lotus is a smaller Brahma with 4 faces. Shrivatsalakshmam, Devaki saw on his chest Shrivatsam, the mole of the Lord, seated on which is Mahalakshmi. She became a mother-in-law while she became a mother. Shrivatsalakshmam, Galashobi Kaustuvam, that resplendent gem, Pitambaram Sandrapayodi Saubagam, Maharha Vaidurya Kirita Kundala Tvisha Parishvakta Sahastra Kuntalam. Uddhama kanchi gadakankanadivir virochamanam vasudeva maikshata. Vasudeva saw, he first wanted to check where the boy was. He checked, where are you? Because the child isn't crying. The boy smiled, and with the whiteness that emanated from his 32 teeth, he checked where the boy was. Sir, will a newborn baby have 32? It won't have. But he's an extraordinary child. He has to have. Virochamanam vasudeva maikshata. What scene it would have been for Devaki and Vasudeva within that small jail premises in that mid of that night. But the mother has to get separated from the son for his safety. She couldn't even feed the boy with her colostrum. She had to send that boy away. Vasudeva has to get that idea. Yogamaya has to play her role. More of it tomorrow. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashaline Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Swastif Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahishaha Gobrahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kayena Vacha Manasendriyairva Buddhyatmanaba Prakrtisva Bhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Sriman Narayanayeti Samarpayami Kalyana Rupaya Kalau Jananam Kalyana Dhatre Karuna Sudhapte Kamvadi Divya Yudha Satkaraya Vatalayadhisha Namo Namaste Narayana 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 Narayana. Extremely thankful, indebted for all of you of all ages, working people, making it on a weekday.